Hi again, and this is the second video in the series of video from the channel The Feeling Called Life. My name is Shubham, and in this video, I will try to answer a very pertinent question which was asked by a user called Moxo. So, hi Moxo. I think you go by the name Matt. So, Moxo has asked us that how does one find bliss and love and stops this feeling of sadness? And he thinks, like me and you, that we are the part of a collective whole. And he says it, the source mind, which is a lovely term, I loved it. And still, he feels that there is still a feeling of deep unhappiness. And the question is that how does one find spiritual truth and yet still suffer? Like, how is it possible that we know the reality and we still suffer? So, first of all, Moxo, thanks for that question. It's a very, very pertinent question. I've tried to give you a comment in the reply, but then I thought I'll make an elongated video. So, the question about suffering and the question about unhappiness, if we go to the very root of it, let's try and understand where does unhappiness stems from. So, in my personal experience, all the times I've felt unhappy, it was either because I was not happy with the situation I was in, or I was looking around the world, and over the years of growing up, somebody told me happiness means this. For example, say my father or my parents, they told me, you know what, happiness is when you will be earning XYZ money. Or slowly and gradually, my friends told me, oh, you know what, I'm with this woman and I'm really happy. And I was like, okay, maybe happiness is dependent on a certain state to be in. And I have been trying so hard to be somebody wherein I can frame myself in a state which meant happiness for others. And I don't know about you, like if I look back, as soon as I have reached that state of attainment of that particular facet, suddenly the happiness that arose from that did not matter anymore. And now, if I further put this into perspective, uh, you have to understand that if you go back into your life, if you thought that I'll be happy after X or I will be happy after Y, and X and Y being a state, a desirable state, or a thing or a person. Yeah. So when I say desirable state, I'm saying it in terms of maybe a job, maybe a location or XYZ. And when I say people dependent, I talk in terms of a relationship or in terms of attaining maybe the love of your life. And what you will eventually find, like if you were to go back in your life, you will find that all those times when you thought that this was happiness, it has been temporary. The moment you attain it, it loses its charm to be continuing to be that source that provided you happiness. Your horizon shifts, and now you're chasing something else as a matter of happiness. And if we again drill down deep, and this came from a plant medicine ceremony, and I know that some of you will break me down for saying that, oh, you were into this and you were into that. I will make a detailed video about my experience there, but if you were to ready to be facing your fears, you will understand that every time you have felt unhappy or sadness about something, it has got less to do with external factors and it's got more to do with our own internal state of being. That means that whatever happens outside, if that was to be a source of your happiness, it's highly probabilistic that you will not be happy even after its attainment. Because external factors are moving, you see. You think of a woman, the woman is changing, you are changing as a person. We get married thinking that wedlock will, make things better, and then we think of it as a lock, and then it's no more giving us that happiness that we were initially thinking about. And a lot of marriages are undergoing such sorts of transition because people feel and think that people remain the same. And as Gurdjieff will give an analogy, or maybe Osho will give an analogy, like you never see the same river twice because the river is ever changing. And if we jump back to my questions about my exploration about quantum states and Thomas Campbell's theory of probabilistic reality, everything is so much into motion like molecules. Yeah, you see the heat, you don't understand the degree of freedom which has changed, because of which heat is a byproduct. So we don't see the ever changing nature of the universe, and in that ever changing, everything is changing. The plants are growing up, you are getting old, every day the person that you loved is changing. The dynamics between you two are changing because when you met, you were different people and you were growing, graduating, outgrowing your previous self every day. So again, we'll talk about relationships a little later in one of the other blogs. But jumping back to the reason of sadness and the source of unhappiness, uh, again, in my limited wisdom, from my understanding, it is definitely stemming out of an inadequacy. And this is a really important word, inadequacy. And I'm not saying sorrow, or I'm not saying demise, I'm just saying inadequacy. And just take this word and drill deep into it and understand what does inadequacy means to me. And in another video, we'll talk so much about Carl Jung's shadow philosophies, but to limit the scope of not getting digressed in this video about the question that Moxo asked, that I know how the way the world works and I know the spiritual stuff, then still why do I feel unhappy? So again, I will take you back to this word of inadequacy, and I invite you to really sit down with it. Sit down with this word, write it down, inadequacy. And then whatever could be the source of unhappiness, we are not saying that we would take a pen and paper and we would write down, okay, we are unhappy because of this, and we'll work on to it and it'll come to fruition. No. What I'm asking instead is that we marry this word called inadequacy. We embrace it. Yeah? We hug it, give it a nice hug. Say, oh, inadequacy. You are the reason of causing unhappiness to me. Okay, let me just break it down. What all things probably can cause any sort of inadequacy to me? I have sat down with it multiple times, and I invite you, highly encourage you to sit down with it. And then when you write it down, you will understand that most of the inadequacy comes from a state of comparison. So the thing is that we need to define for ourselves what is that particular inadequacy that is causing us any sources of unhappiness. And it takes a lot of effort. You need to really sit down with yourself, switch off your phone, keep all gadgets aside, just take a pen and paper and write down, I am feeling unhappy because of an inadequacy, and that inadequacy is stemming from. Now the real game begins, and now you start drilling down. Is the inadequacy stemming from because your neighbor has got a higher house than yours, a bigger house than yours? Is the inadequacy stemming from he's got a bigger car? Is the inadequacy stemming from he's got a better girlfriend? Is the inadequacy stemming from he's got a better job? Is the inadequacy stemming from your in-laws telling you you're not good enough? Yeah. There are so many moving factors in this gambit called society that even small things have this power to make us feel inadequate. Something as small as maybe a pizza. You see somebody eating a nice pizza, and maybe you can't afford that pizza, and you feel, oh, only if I could afford that pizza, I would be happy. But do you know that what they're eating is probably trash? And I'm sure you know it. But the immediate comparison that goes in, and in this Instagram driven life that we are subjected to, a lot of mental pressures mount onto us subconsciously. So do this exercise, make 5 pages. Yeah, 5 pages of inadequacies. On the first page, you feel emotionally inadequate. Write everything about it. I feel unhappy because there's nobody to hug me. I feel unhappy because I go back to my bed by myself at the night. I feel inadequate because his girlfriend is prettier than mine. I feel inadequate because I don't have a girlfriend. I feel inadequate because there's nobody to love me. I feel inadequate because, you know, probably I'm not getting sex. I'm feeling inadequate because I have not done skydiving or stuff like that. Just write down everything that makes you feel emotionally inadequate. And once you have written all of that down, in the next page, you write down financial inadequacy. I feel inadequate because I don't have fancy food to eat. I feel inadequate because I don't have a car. I feel inadequate because I don't have a bike. I don't have a super bike. I feel inadequate because I don't have a big house, whatever. On the third page, write all the job related or society related inadequacies. I feel inadequate because I don't have a high paying job. I feel inadequate because I don't have the luxury what my friend has or stuff like that. I don't feel nice because I can't afford that premium resort. These are your financial inadequacies. And in the fourth page, write down about physical inadequacies. I feel inadequate because I am overweight. I feel unhappy because I'm not pretty enough. I feel unhappy because I'm not fair enough. I feel unhappy because I don't have a body, a beach body to lure, the opposite gender. And then when you write all that down, this is your fourth page done. And on the fifth page, just dump everything that you think makes you feel further inadequate. Could be in any sphere, could be in terms of anything. Just this fifth page is just miscellaneous. And now you write another 5 pages. And on the top of the page, you write down the first inadequacy from the first page. I felt unhappy because I don't have a pretty girlfriend. And then you write down 5 things for every inadequacy that you are grateful for. Even if you didn't had a very pretty girlfriend, do you have a wife who takes care of you? You're more blessed than a prettier girlfriend. Maybe you're going to bed by yourself, but do you have any emotional trauma to process which could have, you know, presented itself during the day? A lot of couples around I see are just battling to have a healthy relationship. And even if you're by yourself, you're kind of circumnavigating all that trauma, all the trauma. For people, I'm not against relationships. For people who are happily mingled, really nice, all the best to you. This is for people who felt sad because of inadequacy which is stemming out of their relationship. Is it possible that you can have a relationship with yourself? And how healthy is that relationship? Does it makes you go out of bed and you're like, okay, this is me in my element and I feel it in my bones, and I'm so happy in my skin. I'm physically active. I'm I'm in my element. I'm capable of walking. I'm capable of opening my eyes. I'm capable of maybe going for a run. I'm capable of putting food on my table. I'm capable of earning my bread. I have a roof over my head and I have freedom. Many people who are fighting wars and in countries which are war torn, people are striving to have these basic luxuries. In cities where the AQI is so bad, maybe you're living in a jungle and maybe you're breathing the cleanest of air that is possible and you're craving for a city life. I've been in cities, I've been abroad, I've been in the villages, and I see the inadequacy in a certain set of people is mostly a subset of their upbringing. So a person who's in village is striving to go to a city. The person who's in a city is striving to go to a metro. The person who's in metro is striving to go abroad. So you have to really understand that this loop of inadequacy does not closes when you reach that particular line, because the funny thing about inadequacy is that it's a shifting horizon, and the only person who has the remote control to this inadequacy is you. I'm talking to you, you who's listening to me right now, who thinks that he's sad. Next, we come to financial inadequacies. I don't have a job right now, yeah, and I barely have money to last for some time. But I know from my trust in the process and trust in myself that I am capable enough to put 4 square meals on my table, and that's all I need. That's all I need. And once I know it, not believe it, once I know it, there's difference in, you know, believing something and knowing it. When you know it, you can't unsee it. You know it from your direct experience. You know it that whenever things have gotten rough, only you have picked yourself up. If you have friends, I have some friends. Once I can count on fingers, not a lot. But all of them I'm so grateful for. So grateful for. Maybe 2 or 3 in my life, but so grateful for all of them. Do you have some people whom you can count on? Is that a blessing or is that an inadequacy? When you look at them, what do you look at? Their car, their house, a pretty wife, or the time that they are spending with you, knowing that, there's some sort of non-transactional relationship between you guys. Absolutely be so grateful about it. Then, if you talk about physical inadequacies, if you are physically specially abled, and I'm saying this not because I'm specially able, but because I have somebody in my family who is. So it is very difficult. It is so difficult to know that you can't live a normal life of sorts. But I tell you what, behind this inadequacy also is a hidden power. And that's a power for you to explore. And I'm co-exploring it with somebody who's in my family, and I'll make a separate video about it. But in that inadequacy is also a power that only you would have. You have a story that nobody else could have. Just you. Own it. Own that story. You can't see. If you can't see, maybe there's something else that you can do. maybe you can hear better, maybe you can work out better, maybe you have supporting family about around yourself which is giving you so much support. So I'm not saying it's easy, but what I'm saying is that in normal day-to-day life, even with two hands, two legs, two eyes, two ears, and the capacity to speak, we feel unhappy. And mostly that is by choice. So in Buddhism, there is a story about two arrows. And I would want to share this with you because it's very contextual here. So they say that when somebody calls you something, like somebody called you name, somebody abused you, and you come home with that thought and you're unhappy about it and you're mulling over it and you're like, oh my God, I feel so unhappy about it, I feel so shit about it. And then that was the first arrow when that person said something to you. It came and it missed you, just scraped you, went past by you. And then there's the second arrow, which you take, like the second arrow, yeah, I take, and I pound myself with it. Oh, why did he say that? Oh my God, I feel so shit. I keep making a wound here in my arm. This is the second arrow. And the second arrow is always by choice. So, since we are discussing how to navigate unhappiness in this world full of people, nice and not so nice, and because Moxo raised a question that despite me being a spiritual person or knowing how things work, why do I feel sad? I hope I'm able to address this question a little bit, that mostly sadness or unhappiness is related to an inadequacy. Write down that inadequacy, put it on the paper, and write 5 things that you're grateful for to counter that inadequacy. Yeah? If you're overweight, what can you do about it? Can you go for a jog in the morning? Can you start workout? If you can help it, if you can help the inadequacy, go for it. Charge at it, run at it. Yeah. If money is a thing that is making me feel inadequate, how can I earn? But that clarity on how can I earn and the ways to make money and keeping yourself happy while you're making money is again a task which arises from addressing that inadequacy, not feeling shit from that inadequacy. So you see where I'm taking you. I'm inviting you to form a different sort of approach to understand the source of happiness, understand the source of unhappiness, sorry, and then doing something about it. If you can do something about it, great. If not, at least the power to handle the second arrow lies with me. Yeah, I decide that whether do I want to do this with the state that I'm in or not. The state is already there. I can either address it, I can either do something about it, or I cannot. For things I can do something about, like if I'm emotionally disturbed, and if it is because of a person, if it is something because of they said, it's okay. It came, it was the first arrow, it flew by, it did not hurt me. Maybe it hurt me, but how much of the second arrow I'm putting inside by making it hurt me again and again, by remembering it, by saying, oh, I feel so shit because he said this and she said that. Hold on. Your happiness was always and continues to be only and only your responsibility. And I highly encourage you to own it. Highly encourage you to own it. It does not come easy. It comes with a lot of effort. But at some point in time, you will be able to hack it and you will be in a state of equanimity. Second is, Mox also said something about knowing how spiritual stuff works, and we all are a source mind or a collective consciousness. So Moxo, this one is for you, that if you know that you are the source mind, and that you are the collective consciousness, you don't need anything to prove anybody. You're already that, the highest, already that. So if there was a God, and if you were a God, if you were a part of God, it doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. What you need, maybe for your survival and for your basic navigation through the life, is you being able to earn yourself 4 square meals that I told you, and you being able to keep yourself happy. A lot of people I know have gone off grid because the impressions that they receive from society in their day-to-day operations make them feel inadequate. And a lot of times we see people hurling stuff at somebody else, saying, oh my god, you know what he did, oh my god, who, you know how he behaved, oh my god, you know what he said, oh my god, do you know what he did. It's all the background noise. People say things about me. Maybe some people watch this video, make fun of me. They do it behind my back. I'm doing what I need to do in my totality right now. Right now. And that's what you need to do. Let the naysayers be naysayers. Let them do the back talking. Let them do it if that appeases them. If they're talking about you, you're on the right track. If they want a story, give them a good story. But at the same time, you be so centered in your being, yeah? You know who you are. You're already the highest. If not, you have not gone through your spiritual journey. You need some more centering, some more meditation. And I'm not saying I don't need it. I need it as well. I get bogged down by so many things. But I do make it an effort to come back, to recollect myself, to sit with myself and just think, okay, I feel sad because of this inadequacy. I felt sad because of this. And the moment I am able to unlock that inadequacy, not the general sadness is a very big umbrella, or unhappiness is a very big umbrella. So within that big umbrella, you have to find that, find that pin that made your happiness deviate and then fix it. So in order to find that pin, you have to really drill down that I feel unhappy today, or I am feeling sad because of this particular inadequacy. And when you look at it, that okay, all beings are impermanent, I'm gonna die, and probably in 50, 60 years of time, nobody will even remember anything of what I said and done. So here you are. There have been great emperors, there have been empires, there have been pharaohs, there have been prophets. Came, did their thing, lost in the wake of the past. So it's just a tiny blip. And you know it. Moxa, this is for you. You know it from your impermanent experience, from your experience from equanimity, that how tiny a blip you are. You're just another organism which is walking this planet with just a tiny lifetime in the whole gambit of cosmos. At the same time, you're also the same elixir that created the stars and the moon and the planets. The same energy flows within you. So, yeah, just take a stock of situation. Think of everything that has bogged you down. Write it down. Address it. If you can't address it, if it's something that is beyond the addressal, understand that how you react to it is totally your choice. And I wrote an article on LinkedIn saying why and how house of choices. I'll put a link down there. Have a look at that article and you will know that even in Gita they say कर्म करना is your कर्तव्य and not, and फल की चिंता करना आपका धर्म नहीं है. That means that to do action, to take action is your responsibility, and to not strive for the fruits of it is your dharma. So if you can, take this away, that you're already doing the best that you can in all the facets. And today when you write down, after this video, Write down what are the things that probably make me feel unhappy at the least, and then you write down that, okay, this particular feeling of unhappiness is coming from this particular feeling of inadequacy. You will be exactly able to drill down to the part where you need to sort it out. We sort it out, yeah, but without comparison. If you need to make money to put food on the table, you're making money, but without comparison. You're motivated, you're grinding, but you're doing it for yourself. No comparison. None, 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 none at all. And once you do that, then you grow yourself, improving yourself in your own higher version every day, like a river flowing, like the same river flowing, which is never the same. You take the next step, you take the next step, and remember to come back to yourself. Remember to sit down for that meditation practice. Whatever you follow, you go to a church, go to a church. You go to a temple, you go to a temple. You want to sit down by yourself, just sit down by yourself. You go for a walk, go for a walk. Put on some nice music. Don't want to do music, don't do music. I recommend not using a lyrical music because lyrics deviate your attention span to somewhere else. So maybe instrumental, maybe solfeggio frequencies, maybe some healing frequencies, not even chants, just some music that works the best for you. Maybe Psy, maybe techno, I don't know, maybe instrumental, maybe classic, maybe sitar, maybe flute, whatever works out for you. Put that music and just sit by yourself. You can also do a conscious dump. That means that you can just write down everything that's coming to your head, and once you have written that down for at least 10-15 minutes, you can reflect back onto it that, okay, these are the things that went through the day, and this is how you feel, the way you feel right now. And if there is sadness, we unlock the associated inadequacy. And remember this, as I said, if you've been through any of your spiritual practice, you already know you're already that, the highest. Maybe when you die, the highest form within you changes its energy to another plane. But for right now, all this sadness, all this happiness, all this unhappiness is coming from a sort of social conditioning which made you feel a little lesser, which made somebody feel a little more, and maybe they are very, very, very high flying that, oh, I've made millions and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But even they, if they are not following this principle of knowing that they're already that, the highest, and coming back to centering themselves, trust me, money does not get all you the happiness. So that is all the thoughts for today, and I hope that I was able to address this question. If there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to shoot them. And if you haven't tried Vipassana, I'm a big advocate of Vipassana. Go for Vipassana for 10 days. Just shut down your life. Take out 10 days. Switch off your phones. The work will stay. The family will stay. The world will still be the same after 10 days, but something inside you will change. So I highly recommend Vipassana for knowing it unlocks all the inadequacies, and it makes you see that, okay, not that bad a guy, and situations are not that bad. I have food on my table. I have hands I can work with. I can earn 4 square meals any time of the day, and that is as much as I require. And it's only greed. For survival, I'm sure you have enough right now. And it's only greed and fear. If not this, then what? If not this, then what? If I'll be this, then what? Oh, if I'll do this, who will say this? Oh, if I'll live like this, what will people say? Screw them, bro. They're not paying for your bills. They don't understand that your state of mental well-being is more important than the Tesla that you're going to drive. They might show it to all the women in the world, or if I'm talking to the fair agenda, if I'm talking to the women here, maybe your fellow mate can flaunt it to all the world that, her husband is making more dollars than you. But if you come back to your being, you know that you have yourself enough. And enough can be so varying. And if you know that you have enough, you don't need to compare. And once you're off this comparison, you live in this blissful world that you have crafted for yourself, wherein there is physical well being. You look after your body, you look after your spirit, you look after your mind, and you're just every day so grateful of living another day in this impermanent world with your energy in this sleeve called this body, which you're taking care of. And the mind that thinks bright ideas, the mind which focuses on taking out the wounds it has created over the time and heal yourself and be the absolutely best version of yourself every day. Nobody's perfect. We're all trying here. I'm trying here, and I invite you to try with me and see how do you feel. If you're okay with that, then let's do a resolution right now on this video. Take a paper and pen, pause the video, take a paper and pen, and if you can, get yourself a diary. I've got myself an actual diary here, which I write stuff. Yeah, it has, say for 23rd Jan, what am I going to do? Yeah, and this is my day planner, and this can also be your journal, or you can have a separate day planner and a journal. And on journal, you do every day a daily dump. How do you feel? 15 minutes of subconscious writing, and then 15 minutes of conscious writing, that how are you going to address any not so desired feelings. And I wish you all the very best, and the soul in me greets the soul in you. And we are all so much more than we think that we are, and you are so stronger than you think you are. You're so much more capable of doing things that you thought you were, and only if you would not let this wounds of second arrow of he said this and she said that, you'll be so much more in a better state. So I invite you to run this experiment for a week, and let's see how do you feel. Leave your output in the comments that I did this for a week and this is how I felt, and if there is still some questions pertaining, I would try to address them further. I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, but what we are is that we are striving to be better. See you in the next video. Bye.